Well, hello there, Mazske peeps. Hopefully you all doing outstanding on this Super Saturday. It's July 29th, year 2023. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hopefully you're doing outstanding. I'm going to talk to you about how someone who's in their 30s can buy a house, a rental house. Because yesterday, I met a nice young lady. And I'll tell you about it in just a minute. But my disclaimer first. I'm Mazske Finance, still coming to you from South Florida with the intention of moving to Panama one day. Want to bargain on a house? I may just cut this price even more. We shall see. I really want to get down to the country of Panama. Anyway, with that being said, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I am not a doctor or a nutritionist. I'm just a blue-collar guy. A blue-collar guy who never made a lot of money in his life. But due to what he learned through the School of Hard Knocks, he started investing in real estate at the age of 49, and he's now 55 years old. And his net worth at 49 was probably 400, 500,000, 300,000, I don't remember exactly what it was. And now Mazske is a multi-millionaire. How did he do it? He did it through real estate. How did Mazske buy his first house? It's the way he did it that he suggested to this young lady yesterday. And this young lady, Laurie, it was great meeting you. Thank you so much for the great conversation. Thank you so much for serving me my meal and my drink and everything. I do appreciate it. Hopefully I can help you get started on the way to wealth, because in my humble opinion, investing in real estate is the quickest way. It'll take time, but the quickest way to become wealthy. You can invest in stocks. I was a stock investor. You can invest in mutual funds or ETFs. I did that. You can invest in crypto. I've done that. You can invest in other things, or you can invest in real estate. I started investing as a young man at the age of about 22 years old in mutual funds. Around the age of 30, I started investing in individual stocks. I had a great return in the stock market. But when you don't have very much money to put in the stock market, even if you have a great return, it takes a long time to grow. Now, along comes real estate. At the age of 49, I bought my first house. Some of you have heard my story before. And this is kind of what I shared with Laurie, young lady Laurie. Laurie is in a similar situation that I was in, but yet she is much younger than I was when I started. She is just a young lady in her 30s. I would have guessed she's in her 20s, but she's in her 30s, I dare say. And she owns her primary residence. She does not have a mortgage on it. Good for her. Congratulations. I actually met a young man up in Indiana a couple weeks ago. He was my waiter. And we were chatting a little bit about investing, and he told me he also owned his home free and clear. That young man up in Indiana and this young lady down here in Florida did something similar. They did not go out and buy the largest, biggest, most expensive house they could buy. Just like with Mazske, I was married with 2 young kids. I did not buy the largest, biggest house I could buy or that the bank would have given me a mortgage for. I went with something cheaper. I paid my house off in 17 years. I didn't start buy it till I was 30-ish. By the time I paid it off, I was like 47-ish or so. Okay? So anyway, Laurie and myself she has paid off houses. Okay? What I did was I got a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. There are 2 main types of home equity things you can get from a bank. The HELOC, home equity line of credit, and a home equity loan. If you want to be a real estate investor, I do not recommend, in my humble opinion, getting the home equity loan. That's a fixed rate loan. You borrow money against the equity in your home and you pay it back. From the day you get the funds, it's like any loan, you start paying it back, okay? Anytime you take a loan out against your house, you do potentially put your home at risk. All right, the home equity line of credit is sort of like you're using your house as a credit card. If you keep a zero balance on your credit card, you don't have to make a payment, right? You don't have to pay anything. HELOC's the same way. Until you draw the money out, you do not make any payments. But now with the HELOC, most places, most institutions I'm familiar with, will give an adjustable interest rate. Interest rates are higher now than they were back when I got mine back in 2016, 2017. Okay, I forget what my first interest rate was. It was probably in the 4s or 5s, something like that. Nowadays, it's probably in the 7s. Okay, so I've talked to other folks about using a HELOC, and two people in particular I know, they're friends of mine, have both done it, and they both went against my advice. My advice was to do something similar to me. I had a paid off house. It might have been worth $200,000. Okay. The credit union I went through said they would give me something like 75 or 80% of the value of that home. I said I did not want a HELOC for that much. I only wanted a small HELOC of $30,000. And they're like, why do you only want 30? You can get upwards of 125, 150. We'll do an appraisal on your house and you can get whatever that was, 75% of the appraised value we'll loan to you. And I was like, I do not want that. I do not want to get myself in financial trouble. I have a paid off house. I do not want to risk losing my house. So I got a HELOC for a total dollar amount of $30,000. Okay? Two quick side notes. Two people I know that have done the same thing. One's a buddy of mine. He got a HELOC for like $50,000. I remember telling him, you don't need $50,000. He's like, they gave it to me. They want to give me more, but $50,000. I was like, okay, you're not me. You make your own decisions. And he used that HELOC to help him get some real estate. He also, because he had a larger balance, used the HELOC to do other stuff besides investing. You got to pay it back. It's just like when you use a credit card, you have to pay it back. Do not put your house at risk to buy things that are not investments. I strongly, strongly recommend against that. Strongly. You can't turn back the hands of time. You can't change things that were done. But I don't care what the reasoning is for somebody to want to do something. If it's not necessary for survival, let's say, I would not use a HELOC for anything other than a safe investment. What do I mean by a safe investment? It's buying a rental property that's in good shape. It may need a little bit of work to fix it up, but it's in good shape. That is in a good area that you can rent and get enough rent to pay your HELOC off, to pay your mortgage off, your principal, your interest, your taxes, your insurance, and to hold money out for vacancies, repairs, and capital expenditures. Okay, I'll cover this again real quick about a mortgage, because Lori does not have any rental property, but she has a house. I'm sure she knows about what a mortgage is. And a mortgage, they have an escrow, usually with taxes and insurance. So you got your principal, your interest, your tax, and insurance. Let's say your mortgage is $500. Say your rent's $1,000. Out of that $1,000 rent, you should hold out roughly 20-ish% for vacancies, repairs, and capital expenditures, and then another roughly 10% for property management fees. And if you have any other fees, grass cutting, snow shoveling, whatever, you subtract that from the rent also. But let's just say for the vacancies, repairs, capital expenditures, property management, you hold out 30%. Okay? So if your rent was $1,000 and you hold out 30%, that's $300. You hold it out, you put it in the bank, you put it in a safe place. You don't spend it, you don't put it in your pocket. Okay? You pay your mortgage. Let's say your mortgage, your principal, your interest, your tax, insurance is $500. Okay? You pay the mortgage every month. So now you have $500 and $300 that you held out. That's $800. Left over, you have $200. That would be your positive cash flow. That $200, I recommend putting it in the bank, saving it, because then you save it, savings grows, you buy another rental house. Do not put it in your pocket unless you just plan to get one and that's all you plan to do. Try not to sneeze here. Do not put it in your pocket. How did a home equity line of credit help me to get my first house? What I did, I bought a house for $97,000. It was in Virginia. I didn't know any better. I put 25% down instead of 20. So I had to put roughly $25K down. I had to pay closing costs. I got my mortgage through a credit union, so the closing costs weren't that big. But I took something like $17,000 or $18,000 out of the HELOC to assist me with my down payment. Okay, that was paying probably 75-ish% of the down payment was that HELOC. When I got my rent check each month, then I remember I was still working when I first bought my rental house, and my spouse was working. Okay, both my kids were gone off, either in the Coast Guard or at the Coast Guard Academy. So my expenses were minimal. I didn't have a mortgage on my house. My expenses were minimal. So what I would do every month was, out of the rent payment, pay something like $75 towards the HELOC. I'd pay the mortgage, but then I ended up putting like $175 towards the HELOC, or $200. Maybe I was using rent. Maybe I was using money out of my own pocket, let's say, because I was still working. Okay, that's what because I wanted to pay that HELOC back down. I did start paying that HELOC back down. I did take a chunk of money, like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and put it on the HELOC as well to get it down. Over the next 6, 7, 8 months, I bought that first house in January of 2017. In December of 2017, I closed on my second house. I again used the HELOC to help me with the down payment. I didn't use as much of the HELOC, but the house was, again, $97,000. One was $97,000, one was $97,500. So, but I put 20% down on the second house. So I don't remember exactly what I used. Maybe I used $5,000 or $7,000 of the HELOC to help me with that down payment. The next year, I used a 457 plan. I'd retired, used my 457 plan to buy a triplex. Then I bought another house outside of Virginia in the state of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. That was a cheap house for like, I'm forgetting now, $40,000-ish. And I again used the HELOC to assist me with buying that house with the down payment. That was a small down payment too. Okay. So with Lori, since I was talking to you about this, I'm talking to you and everyone else about this now. How can you safely use a HELOC to buy your first rental property? Remember, I mentioned telling two people about this. The other person took out a large HELOC. He had a property that was worth a lot more. Took out a much larger HELOC, and against my recommendation, because I didn't give him a very strong recommendation, because he's his own person, he's owned some rental properties, he's decided to do the BRRRR strategy using his HELOC. He buys something, he rehabs it, rents it, refinances, and hopes to repeat it. Okay. The only thing with doing this, to me, that's risky. Anytime you do the BRRRR strategy, it's risky. And if you're using HELOC money to fund the purchase and the rehab, I think you're putting the residence that you live in at risk, because if something goes bad, you still got to pay it off. Now, it all depends on how deep your pockets are and how big your paycheck is, because this young man is working. He makes a lot more money than I ever made in my life. And he has other rental properties, so maybe he's safe. I do not recommend doing this. I like the idea of being cautious. I do not want to lose my investments. I do not want to lose my primary residence. I do not want any of you to get risky. I'm reading a book right now by Chad Carson. He sent me a copy of his new book that he got. I don't have it in my office here, but it's like The Small and Mighty Investor. He stresses, be safe how you do things. He started investing in the 2000s prior to the 2008 Great Recession. He almost got himself in trouble. He kind of did get himself in trouble, but he got himself out of trouble. All right, because the Great Recession, you guys, if you're old enough, you remember the Great Recession, 2007, 8, 9, 10-ish, that general time period. Okay, if you got too overly extended and then prices crash, bad things can happen. Okay, but how can someone, if they're frugal, they work a job, they have a paid off house, like young Lori, she could get a small HELOC, still something in the realm of $30,000, maybe. And where I invest that in Indiana, that $30,000 could be used to buy a rental house. It could be used to put towards the down payment. You can get rental houses in Indiana cheaper than I got mine in Virginia. That was $97,000. You can get them for $80,000 or maybe $70,000, $60,000. The cheaper you go, the more work they're going to need to be fixed up. So beware of that. If someone out there can find a house for $75,000-ish, $80,000 that was in very good condition, doesn't have to be a mansion, nothing like that, or luxurious, just in good condition, then they could buy it and get a mortgage, not have to worry about spending money to fix it up. And then as they get their mortgage in, they hold out, pay the mortgage, hold the money out for vacancies, repairs, capital expenditures, pay the property management, and have positive cash flow that they keep putting in the bank. So as time goes on, if something happens. Maybe the property manager says your roof has maybe 2, 3, 4 years to go. It's going to need to be replaced. Okay? Stockpile that cash that you get in the bank, and then when you need a new roof, you get it. Roofs there are much cheaper than roofs here in Florida. Much, much, much cheaper. Like, much cheaper. I won't say exactly what they are, but they're much cheaper. All right? So, can someone like young Lori, I don't know her exact age. You don't ask a female what her exact age is. But let's just say, I'll make something up. I don't know. I'll just say 35, right in the middle realm of 30s, 35. Say she gets one house. Say she goes 2 more years, and then she gets her second house. And then just say she goes 2 more years, and she gets her third house. So by this time, she's what? She'd be like, say, 41-ish. Okay? And she has 3 houses. And then it'll start speeding up because now she's getting rent for several houses, and she's saving her money quicker, and she will learn the power of real estate. And once you learn the power of real estate, then if you're smart, you learn how to be even more frugal than you were. Like, I had lunch out the other day and I met her. If I was beginning investing, I would stop eating out for the most part because it's cheaper to eat in your house than it is to eat out. And I'd be saving my money as much as I could to buy more real estate, buy more real estate, buy more real estate, buy more investments. Then you can be like I am now. I have traveled and taken so many trips in the last year. I've been to California, I've been to Indiana, I've been to Texas, I've been to Maryland, I've been to Panama 3 different times. I've been to different locations in Florida. I'm staying in very nice hotels. I'm eating in decent places to eat at. I'm seeing baseball games, minor league, major league baseball games. How am I doing this? I'm doing it for the most part for free using credit cards. How am I using credit cards to get all these points? I seller financed a bunch of houses, and I have a mortgage on a house where the tax and insurance are not escrowed. So every month I am making $500, $600, $700 in insurance payments for my rental properties. I pay taxes for my rental properties outside of the ones that I own. I own some houses free and clear. I got to pay all that stuff outside of, with my own personal money. So I use credit cards. Plus, I use credit cards to live. It's expensive to live in Florida. And I accumulate a lot of points. So I get new credit cards. I get a sign-up bonus. I get a new credit card. I get a sign-up bonus. Get a new credit card. Get a sign-up bonus. And I travel all around so far for free. Free airplanes, free lodging, etc. Okay? I am trying to stockpile my points now because when I make my move to Panama, if I can ever get this house sold, I want to travel first class there. I want to stay in, probably when I first get there, stay in the Hilton in Panama City as my reward for finally making it there. So anyway, with that being said, HELOC, Home Equity Line of Credit, HELOC. Laurie, if you're still listening, if you did watch this, my email is in the description below. Email me. If I can help you in any which way, I will help you out. I'll help you get started. I will give you my contacts up in Indiana if you want to buy up there. I will help guide you on the proper house to buy. But with that being said, if I can sell this house, I'm going to be down in Panama. So if you want to chat with me sometime, let me know. All right, I'll help anyone out there. There's not too many of you that watch my videos, but I'll help any of you out there the best I can. Oh, real quick, sorry about this. In my Panama video yesterday, I meant to mention something at the beginning of this video. I forgot one key thing if you travel to Panama. If you take a shower and you see the hot, cold thing, you see a C and an H on the shower knob. What do you think? If you're an American, you speak English, the C and an H. C is for cold, H is for hot. That may not be the case in Panama. Why? Because in Panama, you have 2 words in Spanish, hot and cold. Frío, that'd be an F. Caliente, that's a C. So when someone who's a Spanish speaker hooks this up, they see the C, that means caliente. That means hot. They don't know what the H means. It's close to an F maybe, so maybe that's the cold. So the C, a lot of times, will be the hot water, and the H will be the cold water. All right. So with that being said, this video's got long. Sorry about that. Have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. Mazske is signing out.